Hello everyone, see you again in this video. And in this video we are going to continue our lesson, which is infinitive and gerund. This is the part 2 of the lesson on your writing write 3 book, and we are now on unit 3, which is on page 38. So in today's lessons, we are going to review some of the important lessons that you have learned from the previous video. So those lessons, they are what is subject, what is object, and what is complements. We will analyze these concepts in a simple sentence. And other point, you will learn new thing, which is for subject 8. We will explore this topic in a much detail in this video, because sooner or later you will need this lesson point in order to do some of the exercise. And by learning this lesson, you can also write a different type of sentences using different structures. Last but not least, you will learn how to use infinitive as an object complement. So without any further ado, let's review what we have learned from the previous video. So these are the 3 basic concepts that we have learned from the previous video. We have subject, object, and complements. So to make sure you really understand those 3 important concepts, we will try our best in order to identify part of the sentences here. What is the subject in the sentence? What is the object of the sentence? And where is the complement in the sentence? So let's start with the first sentence. So this one is the first one. So the first sentence, my job is teaching English. First of all, we need to find the subject. So my job, sure, it is the subject. And after the verb to be or the linking verb, we have teaching English. Generally, in English, it follows the structure as VO, which means subject, verb, and object. But in these situations, is teaching English is the object of the sentence, or is it a complement? Sure, teaching English in this sentence is the complement because it gives more information about the subject. So we call it subject complement. So my job is teaching English. If you want to clarify and make sure it is a complement, you can switch the position. Put the teaching English as the subject. So teaching English is my job. Sure, it makes sense and it is grammatically correct. So let's move on to sentence number 2. My teacher teaches many students. So my teacher in this situation is a noun phrase. So this one is the subject of the sentence. Teaches is the verb. Many students, many students here. So many students, it is the object. Why many students here is the object? Why it is not the complement? Sure, because it affected by the action verb, which is teach. Okay, my teacher teaches many students. So many students has a direct effect from the main verb, which is teach. All right, so we cannot put the many students here as the subject in case you rewrite it in the passive sentence. But in this situations, many students is the object because it affected by the main verb. Let's move on to sentence number 3. To learn English, okay, to learn English is the subject. It's difficult for old person, okay. So to learn English is difficult for old person. So to learn English function as the subject of the sentence here, and is difficult for old person. So the word difficult for old person here is also the complement. It doesn't affect anything. Last but not least, running with my friend is very excited. So running with my friend is the subject, and is very excited is the adjective here, so it's the complement because it gives more meanings to the subject. So what I hope that the three basic concepts you can clearly distinguish between object and complements. Now we will explore some of the topic which is for subject it. So what is for subject it? To make this topic much more easier, let's look at the sentence. So let's read the first sentence. It is difficult to learn a foreign language. As you can see, the sentence it starts with it is. So it functions as the subject in this sentence. But you can rewrite the sentence using two infinitive. To learn a foreign language is difficult. As you can see, these two sentences they are the same, but with a different subject. The first one they use it, but we don't know it is referring to what. It is the pronoun, and mostly it used to refer to another noun. But in this situation, it is a false subject because it doesn't refer to anything. But it has an equivalent meaning to the second sentence. To learn a foreign language, it functions as the subject here is difficult. So as you can see, the first sentence and the second sentence, they have the same meaning but with a different structure. We can use it in order to replace this two infinitive as the subject here. The second example, it is important to respect other. So it is, we use the word it again as the subject, which has the same meaning as the second sentence. To respect others is important. As you can see, to infinitive here is the subject. So why we use this structure? So we use a for subject it structure. It can take the place of an infinitive that is used as the subject, especially when the subject is relatively long. So let's look at the other example. Making good friend is important. As you can see, you can also use this to replace the gerund phrase as well. So making good friend is a subject, but it's a little bit long for the subject. So we can use it, which is only one word, as the subject of the sentence instead of the long phrase. So you can say it is important to make good friends. Another example, traveling alone is dangerous. So you can say it is dangerous to travel alone. These two sentences, they have the same meaning but with a different structure. That is why you need to learn this structure in order to make your writing varieties. You need to write a different structures to make your writings look more advanced learner. So everyone, that's it for the for subject it. It is relatively easy for you to use. And notice the structure here. We use it and generally we plus to be, so it is, and then we use with adjective. So this is the general or basic rule that you need to remember by yourself. So let's move on to the last lesson point for today, which is infinitive as object complements. So you might ask, what is complements, right? But we already learned this, so let's take a quick look at the definitions of complement. So complement refer to a word that complete another meanings of the sentence. It can give more meanings to the subject, we call it subject complement, or we can give more meanings to the object, which means object complement. So here, my favorite movie is Three Idiots. So my favorite movie and Three Idiots, these are the same. We cannot call Three Idiots as the subject here. Oh, sorry, we cannot call Three Idiots as the object here because it doesn't affect anything from the main verb. A new teacher is very flexible. So very flexible. Who's very flexible? New teachers. Again, there is no object in this sentence. English is a foreign language, so it's a foreign language and English, they are the same, so it is not the object. Harry Potter is a character in the fantasy movie. So Harry Potter It has the same meaning as a character in the fantasy movie, so there is no object in this sentence. So when it is the object complement, which means it gives more meanings, gives more information about the objects. As you can see in all of these sentences, so two infinitive here are the object complement because it gives more meanings to the direct object of the sentence. So let's see. I asked him to call the police. You are not the one who called the police, but it is him. Okay. So to call the police function as the object complement because it completes the meaning of the sentence here. It has something to do with the word him, which is the direct object. I told him to shut the door. You are the one who shut the door, or the other person who shut the door? The other person, right? So it has something to do with the objects. All of these has the same structures. So, but remember everyone, you can use this with only certain verbs such as asked, told, allow somebody to do something, advise somebody to do something, and told somebody to do something. So all these word is used with this structure. And if you are not sure, you can find some table like this on the internet. Or these are the words that generally used with this structure, which is for object and infinitive. While all these infinitive are called the object complements. As you can see, the verb advise, allow, ask, beg, bring, build, buy, challenge, so on and so forth here. These are the verbs that you use with this structure, which follow by the object and object complement, which is to infinitive. So you will do this type of exercise a lot in your workbook as well as in your classwork and in your homework. So make sure if you have questions, if you have any point that you need more explanation, you can ask your teacher in your online study group. But now it's time to end our first session. We will see you again in the next one. Goodbye.